Shoot. How we gonna get this money?
Tax the companies. Tax.
Right. But then they're gonna say, well, if you tax us too much, we can't create the jobs that.
Which is horseshit. Because they've done it before. This is the problem. We've allowed businesses to go overseas in environments when they aren't getting taxed.
Right.
So they took jobs overseas and we lost jobs, right?
Well, did we really lose jobs? Because the reality is Americans would not have been willing to do the jobs that these people in these other countries are doing. They're being exploited. They're not paid wages. They don't have safety requirements in the workforce.
That's what unions are for.
Oh, wait a minute. Well, we gonna get on unions. But what I'm talking about is the jobs that have been exported to other countries. These countries where Americans would never work in those conditions and never work for that amount of money. They export these jobs so that we can then have the luxury and pleasure of buying things for a cheaper price.
You can't buy nothing if you don't have a job.
Okay, so essentially we need the corporations to keep the jobs here, but how are we going to influence the corporations to keep the jobs here?
Mercantilism.
What?
If you're an American company and you keep jobs in America and you do not produce overseas, we will, as Americans, substitute any good you produce for any foreign imported good. If there's something that we buy overseas and you produce it, creating American jobs, we will substitute that good directly.
Right.
So damn our trade agreement with China, damn our trade agreement with whoever. If an American company is producing that good and it costs a little bit more, we're going to substitute it. And we'll do what we've always done, which is what? We'll give them a subsidy.
Right. So the
federal government will displace the part of the cost as long as it creates jobs here.
Giving them money, so giving the corporations money. Then people get pissed about that because now that's my tax money going to this corporation just to keep jobs here. Are they actually going to keep jobs here though?
But that's the legal.
Are there contracts
so then there's a legal requirement. You place a legal requirement on that company. You take these jobs overseas. If you produce a single item overseas, I'm going to tax you. I'm going to tear the hell out of you.
A high tax, right? So okay, so we can tax corporations. Now, don't you believe that also there are people that should be paying a little bit?
Absolutely. When Warren Buffett writes an editorial in the New York Times begging the federal government to raise his tax rate because his secretary.
Let's explain who Warren Buffett is. Now, who's Warren Buffett?
Warren Buffett is what? Fourth richest man in the world?
I don't know about the world, but I know
his equity fund is worth several trillion, a couple $1 trillion. He's got like $7 trillion.
He ain't worth trillions.
He's got billions of personal wealth, but the equity fund.
He has not.
His equity fund is worth $1 trillion.
All right, we can debate
whatever the exact numbers are. Doesn't matter.
The point is, he up there with like Bill Gates type.
This is one of the richest men in the world.
Like he's crazy rich, and he and Bill Gates advocate that, and a lot of other famous people, celebrities. I'm not trying to give them credit, but what I'm saying is, it's not just people occupying the streets or the poor or the middle class that is advocating the idea that the taxes be raised just back to normal rates that they were before Bush cut them. Not even up to like 50% or something crazy like.
Which is what I advocate.
Over that, because there are plenty of European countries where they're taxed 50% or more.
Right, absolutely.
And the people have these entitlements. Now, Europe's model, all of their model isn't exactly working because they're having their own issues right now.
Right.
So let's come back here. The whole point is we can raise more
revenue through
taxation. Not just the lower, but especially the
upper class.
The upper class, yeah. I mean, this is not class warfare. This is not about class warfare. It's just basic economics to me. I don't understand why we wouldn't. I don't understand. I mean, I understand that they need to have the money to create the jobs.
But they don't. That's the key.
They will if we give them proper incentive and good reason.
Or make it illegal not to.
All right, but then now we're encroaching on the rights of for people to be able to produce and do things, creativity. Like, listen, all I'm saying is we need to come up with more innovative solutions and not just the typical raise taxes on the rich people. Because this is not about class warfare. It's about what makes more sense to do as a country. It's about how we can actually run.
It doesn't make sense for us to get paid.
It's not enough to just look at the rich.
For you to make $5 million a year, and for me to make $30,000 a year with a family of 4. And you to make $5 million a year with a family of 1, and for us to pay the same tax rate.
No,
for you
no,
to get taxed at 33%, and for me to get taxed at 33%.
Well, because the reality is, and
this
is another reality, because the reality is the person that makes more money, that those millionaires, in order to protect their wealth, they need for our country to be run a certain way so that people aren't going and banging on their homes and tearing up their property.
Burning down their houses.
Burning down their homes because they're tired of the huge disparity, the huge gap. What is the Gini coefficient or something like that? It's like the measure of like the richest
versus the
poorest. And the higher that number is, the wider the gap.
Right, and ours is ridiculous.
And ours
and widening.
And recent, yeah.
And it's constantly widening. And that's the thing.
But it's not about taking from the rich. It's just simply, I think it should be more than just take from the rich. First of all, we need to do what we got to do, right? So a lot of us don't even want to work as hard as we need to work.
Right.
To get there. We want the handout, which is bullcrap. I'm tired of that.
Absolutely.
This is not about getting handouts.
I got a friend who says all the time.
Working hard.
He says, when we work outside City Hall. He looked down when it was snowing one time outside City Hall. Gary Lambert, he said, I looked down, and who did I see outside working? A bunch of Mexicans.
Right. They out there doing the work.
Were they citizens? Don't know.
Right.
Don't care.
But they doing the work that we don't want to do.
That no one else wants to do.
And then we want them out the country.
And then we want them out the country.
And we want to have immigration laws and stuff.
We can't just ask for a handout.
Right.
We can't just... Taxation for the rich is one thing, but you got to take the job that's available.
Right.
If you need to feed your family and put some groceries on the table, then you might need to take that $7.25 an hour for now.
Or if we are giving the corporations more incentive to provide these jobs, then we can also influence wages too, and making sure people have the health benefits that they need and things like. I mean, it sounds so idealistic and like obviously we're simplifying it, but I don't think that just yelling and being mad at rich people and being mad at corporations is the answer.
And it's not.
It's not the answer.
You can't always blame rich people. The Warren Buffetts of the world,
they're not all bad.
May engage in some shady business there.
Well, yeah.
May make some good profit. They may do what they do, but at the same time, even they recognize when the shit has hit the fan.
Ridiculous.
Like for Warren Buffett to say, "Tax me higher because I can afford it, I can take it, and America needs it."
And it's his duty.
Right.
And now, is he just saying this for good PR? Like just so
he doesn't need PR. What does he need PR for?
Right.
Public relations doesn't affect Warren Buffett's business. It never has.
Oh, come on. He said himself, it takes 20 years to build a good reputation. It takes 5 minutes to destroy it.
Right.
I've heard him quote that. Or
but what do you know about Warren Buffett's business? What does the average American know about what his investments are?
Right.
Nothing.
Right.
If I said, if I went and said, oh, Pepsi Cola is destroying and throwing its jobs overseas, they have a reputation that's tangible that we can actually affect.
It's in our everyday life.
Right. It's in our
Warren Buffett.
But Warren Buffett, we don't know what he does.
Yeah. Okay.
His hedge fund investment group moves in the shadows. So for somebody
because we don't pay attention.
Right.
But we need to pay attention more. So okay. So wrapping this up, we need to pay more attention to the real powerhouses and the real, people who run in this country, because that man can move the market like none other. He invests in something.
Talent.
When he invests in something,
everybody follows him. Yeah, everybody's
all of a sudden,
and it's almost to the point that he's a market unto himself. Because if Warren Buffett invested in it, then it must be good.
Right.
Which means I need to invest in it. Right. He said it was good. It's good.
He's like the Oprah. He's like an Oprah. And, he's like, for talk show and for women housewives or whatever, he's like the Oprah of the investment world in some ways.
Right.
To just kind of make it like, plain and simple. So we got to pay attention more to what's going on, and we gotta stop blaming. It's not only external reasons for why we face some of the problems that we face.
It's definitely internal.
We gotta get out. We gotta be willing to do the work. We gotta be willing to struggle. We can't
go pick some fruit.
We shouldn't even want a handout. Should be an insult. Some of these things that we just accept from the government, they should be. We should be like, oh God, like I don't please, I will work for what I want.
Right.
I'm gonna do this. Like I don't need someone to give it
and
to
a lot
me.
a lot of these things should be incentives too.
Right. Go do something in the community.
Right. Or
clean up.
If you take that $7.25 an hour job and you have a family of 4, but you're working, that's when you should get the welfares and the SSI payments.
Right. And
because you need something to boost you up
to a cost of living. Right.
Not the person who isn't working at all getting this payment. If you don't want to do nothing, you don't get nothing.
Right. Bottom line. So what's left to do? Power up 100%, baby. I ain't gonna let it go. Oh man, that's funny.